What's up, world? Welcome back to Sneakers and Sports. You got me, Mike the expert, and of course, the homie Blocker from Fanatic Sports pulled back up on us, represent his Talk is Talk. And of course, we got CL from ESPN Baton Rouge in the trenches with Marlon Favorite. So if you don't know, now you know. Fellas, today was a crazy day. We already had everything planned, and then Kirk Cousins decided to crash the party. So Kirk Cousins just signs with the Raiders, okay, the Las Vegas Raiders. He signed with them, got another bag, and I kind of feel like put himself back in a situation that he's probably gonna play for a little while and then be looking at the bench. Yo, man, what you think about this signing, bro? What's this telling you? Think Kirk can keep the job for the whole year?
Actually, I think he can
Okay.
because, knowing the thought process, knowing who's actually behind the workings now of the Las Vegas Raiders is actually Tom Brady. So
Mm-hmm.
if you really wrap your mind around it, you have Kirk coming in as that bridge quarterback. You have him because the worst thing you want to do is put a rookie quarterback in a situation that the Raiders are embarking on. Even though they had a great free agency, they brought in some good talent, but you don't want to start a rookie quarterback off with quite possibly in the past few years one of the worst franchises, and you don't want to put all that pressure on them because more likely organizations have failed rookie quarterbacks more than rookie quarterbacks have failed organizations.
That's
And I
true.
think honestly it's a great move because Kirk can also be that tutor, also can be that representation of how to handle yourself as a professional, as a quarterback in this league. And I actually think it's a good move because, like I say, Kurt has been in some dire situations, Atlanta. So he
Whoa,
knows.
wait a minute now. No, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna allow that, bro.
They slipped
Kurt
that in
messed
there,
up,
didn't
man.
he?
That dude was hurt and didn't tell nobody, and Raheem Morris failed us by leaving the dude on the field. It was obvious that
Right,
he was garbage. And this is my
right.
thing. When you talk about him being a teacher, he didn't do that for Michael Penix, so I'm trying to figure out what's different this time around. Cause he sure wasn't
Well,
teaching last season.
I
well,
don't
first,
think I don't think anybody can teach Penix though, man. But
right.
There you
anyway, go
go
ahead.
again with
And,
that.
and
Yeah,
I gotta agree with Mike. Penix's situation is a lot different from Mendoza's situation. Penix is not very mobile. He's in a pistol, 85%. He can't do play action. The best way to do, which blows my mind with Atlanta anyway, as great as, and I like to call him Baji, as great as Baji is and the run effect that y'all had, even with Algier, I couldn't believe that Atlanta probably had the least amount of play action in the NFL last year, and that was all because Penix can't get under center. So
No, that's
you have
because
a
we had a whack offensive coordinator. It was a rookie that didn't know what he was doing, man.
Mm.
You cannot bring in an offensive coordinator that has never done it before and have a rookie quarterback. That's never gonna work. You've never seen that work in the NFL.
well, I thought it because of Penix's mobility or lack thereof. But if you go back to the championship game, you can see that Mendoza has a little more feet than you would think he does moving forward. But at the end of the day, gentlemen, I think it's a great move for the Raiders because now the pressure is all off of Mendoza. He can come in kind of like a Tyler Shuck when he's actually ready to roll and ready to take over that position. And if you look at the contract and you break the contract down, he has the guarantee, talking about Kirk, he has the guaranteed money for that first year, but those other years are optional and they could get from under that contract with minimum cost to the salary cap. So I think it's a great move, gentlemen.
So you
Blocker,
know what?
I gotta go to you, man.
I'm thinking about this, and the Raiders did say early in the offseason that they did plan on still going after a veteran, not starting if they do go with Mendoza as their first pick, starting the
And
veteran,
that's the
right
worst
away.
kept secret in the NFL, man. Everybody know they going Mendoza.
Right.
That's the
Well,
world.
Hey, listen, Anthony Bennett got drafted. I'm at number one. I'm just going. As a professional.
Yeah,
I'm
but that's
going.
a
I'm
little
a
bit different, though. It wasn't no clear cut number one in that draft. It
fair
really
enough.
wasn't.
So what I think with the Raiders, we knew it was happening. I'm just shocked at even committing to 5 years, knowing that we're not going to get 2 good years out of Kirk. But with all the offseason additions, I didn't mean it that way. I know
Yeah,
how
you
you was
did.
laughing at it.
Yeah, it's okay.
But just knowing what you're gonna get out of Kirk and the amount of time that you get for them to commit to 5 years was interesting to me. And obviously the incentives that'll come out as
Mm-hmm.
what he'll get for it. But when you look at that team, especially with what happened with Matt Crosby, bringing Max Crosby back into the fold with what they did defensively, you could almost think of with the way that the AFC West is going to be wide open with Mahomes hurt, it's almost kind of a win now situation for Oakland or for the Las Vegas. So they got that opportunity to make a stand, make some noise, at the very least. And we know Cousins in the right situation will put up numbers. He'll win a couple games he's not supposed to. He'll lose a few he's not supposed to, and kind of it's not going to hurt their draft stock in any way. But at the same time, there is a lot of opportunity. What his pattern doesn't look good. I gotta argue this fact that while he should be a mentor, veteran, leader, bridge type quarterback, to be honest, the pattern of what we've seen to Kirk Cousins at every stop since he left Michigan State has not
Mm-hmm.
shown him to be a great teacher. It's not shown him to make great plays, and at some point I gotta stop believing him. And again, kudos to whoever his agent is. I'll look it up here shortly. Whoever his agent is needs an award. I don't know what kind of award. I don't know if the a purple medal award. I don't know. You pick an award and give it to that man because he keeps getting this man bags.
He's definitely the best agent in the business. He's definitely the best agent in the business.
He definitely is. And this will be the 5th year that Kirk Cousins has had a guaranteed contract in NFL football.
Yo, I ain't never heard of no NFL player have it. Not even Tom Brady had it like that. That's crazy work.
His name is Mike McCartney from Vayner Sports.
Mike McCartney.
God bless you, brother. You are doing magic. I don't know who
I know
more
I'm going to negotiate my contract.
Right. Either him or Howie from the Eagles. That the GM from the Eagles, them two is doing some magic, bro. I am hats off.
Barker, you brought up a couple good points. Number one, I'm kind of looking at the Kirk Cousins situation. This is why the Vikings didn't want him, because he's not a good teacher. They don't want him nowhere near J.J. McCarthy. He's already bad enough. They don't need to make him any worse. So I think that's some of what you look. And when you look at Kirk Cousins, possibly this is a good move because, again, you're talking about a guy that is basically going to fit in. He's going to be steady. He don't mind getting hit. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid of the blitz. So that's a good thing from that standpoint. But if you also look at how he played most recently, even last year, he can't throw the ball down the field anymore. He don't have no zip on the ball. So you got to be on time. And you talking about a team with no offensive line, really, to the point Ashton Gentry could not get off last season. He basically was bottled up the whole time. And the only outlet you got is Brock Bowers. So, yes, I don't want my rookie quarterback getting his head took off like that.
And that's what I think we're missing in that whole equation. I think it opens up, no matter how you look at Kirk, you understand that he's not afraid of the blitz and he knows how to get the ball out. I think it opens up for Ashton Gentry. That's what I think it does.
Okay.
He won't be looking at an 8-man box anymore. They're going to have to respect Kirk's arm until they don't respect it anymore. But it's a way to start the season off because, once again, having Mendoza back there with Gentry is not really how you want to start the season off. I think Kirk brings some type of respectability to that offense, and at the end of the day, you can go to Bowers. Bowers can be his the word I'm looking for. Bowers
security blanket.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I do want to add this. They did sign Tyler Lindenbaum, a veteran, well-respected center. That's going to anchor that line. And I tell you, as an offensive lineman, I can tell you, shout out to all the O linemen in the trenches. My boy CL, O linemen in the trenches. When you got one guy that can anchor your line, especially at center, sometimes that can be the difference between, your line looking good, playing good, and looking bad, all off of, making sure that there's good communication, great calls. When you got a good center, he can double team that 3-tech and move him and get space or a seam for somebody like Gentry. Gentry's a very special player. There's no question about that. And so you give him one good offensive lineman, and that might make a big difference in the line. So there is that, but I'm interested in the rest of what they do offseason wise because in return, they haven't done much adding to their offense. And so you've got the one weapon
to
throw to.
Yeah. That's the problem. I agree with you as far as what you're saying with the center. But here's the thing. All that's going to happen is now all the pressure's coming off the edges. It's just not coming up front anymore. That's all. They're not bull rushing you up front. The pressure come off the edges. Expert, you had told us that Geno Smith was washed up. And we've been sitting here wondering what they was going to do now they, rolled Geno up out of there. You was a big Kirk Cousins guy while he was here, man. What you think about this?
Well, I was a big Kirk Cousins guy because I was against Penix.
Here we
So
go.
of course,
Here we go.
of course
No,
I'm a pick.
hold on. Before you go off
What?
on your weekly tirade of Michael Penix, I'm gonna ask either one of y'all. If you was a GM, can you give up on the 8th pick of the draft after
If you
14
saw
games in a year and a half? Can you really do that? Knowing that basically this season you could have went to the playoffs, you lost 3 games because of kicking. Can you give
Let
up?
me start here first, KP. I'll be honest and tell you that you can give up on the 8th pick of the draft when the 8th pick of the draft shouldn't have been a quarterback. When you just gave Kirk Cousins the
180 million.
It's not my fault that CL sent an imposter over here, man. He sent Terry Fontenot over
Terry
here.
Fontenot is a Trojan horse that came over from the New Orleans Saints, and he set y'all up perfectly the way he was supposed to. And to answer your question, I think you can move on from the 8th pick overall because at the end of the day, a first-round contract is a first-round contract. Maybe somebody else is stupid enough to try to give him a chance to take him off his hands. Because even right now, as we speak, coming into this year, Atlanta is going to pay a portion of Kirk Cousins' contract. If I'm not mistaken, maybe $8.7 million.
Yeah,
so
good point.
you'll get somebody to take, because when we all know quarterback is the most needed position in this league. And when we come to injuries and people falling off, they'll give a guy anything about this. Geno Smith is back in New York. So you understand what I'm saying? Anything can happen. So I definitely think you can move past an 8th-round pick. Talk to us, man.
No. That's exactly where I was getting at. I mean, first of all, this is a low risk, high experience, type of thing. And then the Raiders, they're getting a veteran quarterback for cheap, basically, because like CL said. Yeah, exactly. 1.3 million. And like CL said, Falcons are paying 8.7 million, while the Raiders are paying 1.3. I mean, it's a perfect move. Of course, he's not a long-term answer. He's old. He's 37, 38 years old, something like that. And he's not going to win you a Super Bowl or anything like that. I mean, he's really put there as a mentor. And I know y'all dog him as a mentor and all that, but that's really what he's put there. He's put there as a mentor. Is basically he's a mentor disguised as a big deal. So we'll see what happens.
The one thing I want to say this, gentlemen, one thing I think everybody's not really considering, and I'm not dropping no bombs just yet. Do you realize now that the Raiders have their veteran quarterback, they could actually trade that first overall pick. They could actually move back and still maybe they can get a Garrett Nussmeier later on to move forward with Nussmeier, with Kirk Cousins and Nussmeier. They don't have to get Mendoza now. They can move back, accumulate picks, fortify that offensive line, maybe get some weapons on the outside, since this is a deep wide receiver draft, maybe get some other weapons around, maybe get a tight end or what have you, there's a lot of running backs as well, maybe get one of them boys from Penn State to back up Genty. So there's a number of things that the Raiders can do right now. I don't think they're just locked in on Mendoza, because if you trade that number 1 overall pick, you will get multiple picks in return.
Look at what Chicago did. Look at what Chicago did. That's
exactly.
This is why he's on ESPN, people.
I hate to give a Saints fan, kudos, but hey.
You actually took him with that one, because that's what the Browns tried to do last year, passing on Travis Hunter, right? They accumulated picks, and they're in a pole position, because if Shador works out, he's a 5th-round pick. You didn't pay a lot of money, so you could build the team out. It's what the Cowboys did to win championships. That's what I would do if I was the Raiders, because guess what? You're going to be in the top 5 again next year anyway.
That's what I would do.
You're going to be there anyway.
Hey,
that's what I would do.
Let me say one thing. Expert, I got to give you your credit, man. Look, I actually like Michael Penix a lot, but
is he one of your personal?
I don't trust no cat that don't take off his do-rag never. I don't trust him.
Hey, they bake it up there. But look, I'm gonna tell you why I can't fool with him, is because he left-handed. And Not only is it that I'm a left tackle, CL. So I'm 6'5", I'm a left tackle. I got a quick first step when I push off this right foot. I'm gonna get on top of you. I'm not as great at right tackle, so I'm losing money. I got to stay at left tackle. So I don't like left-hand quarterbacks. That's one. The second reason I don't like left-hand quarterbacks, and this is actual facts, is there's only been two left-handed quarterbacks that have started the Super Bowl, and only one of them won. That was Steve Young. The other one, who was a Raiders quarterback, Plunkett, I believe it was, that lost. So look, you wasn't going to the Super Bowl with Michael Penix anyways because he left-handed. It's just not going to work out.
There
You
it
might
is.
be on to something, expert.
That's another thing against him.
Well, I think we all know Falcons in the Super Bowl just don't work out, period.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
you know,
We'll
just
get there
gotta
before
go
the
through
Saints.
Hold on,
it.
man. You can't live off your glory from something that happened 20 years ago, man. That joint is over now, bro. That was a
Exactly.
decade ago now. What are you talking about?
Going forward, we'll get there before the Saints.
When have y'all
so,
ever been
you
there
know.
anytime recently in the modern era? Come on, man.
We
Cut it
got
out.
our quarterback, baby. We got our quarterback. Y'all still
Boy.
searching. After next year, y'all still gonna be searching for a quarterback.
I
After
don't
this year,
know. I
y'all
think
still gonna be
this young
looking for
man
a
Tua might
quarterback.
get it together. I think Tua might. Hey, talking about low risk, bro. Tua's a low risk, but you know who's not a low
Until
risk?
we concuss him. Until we concuss
Yeah,
him.
did you hold on? Did you not see how the last Falcons Saints game ended? I believe your quarterback
I
was under
definitely
duress.
did. Do you
Your quarterback was
realize?
under duress.
But you realize he still delivered under duress. He
You mean
showed
delivered a turnover?
he still showed check. But he was playing with not even backups. He was playing with cats off the street. And now that we have actual players that can actually play, we're gonna finally get Alvin Kamara ass out the way. We got Travis Etienne.
Yep.
We got
Hey, expert, that's a lot of talk for a team that got swept, ain't it? That's a lot of talk for a
Exactly.
team that got swept. And we wasn't even a good team last year. We was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and we swept y'all. So I don't know, man. Now, what I do know about,
kudos to y'all for beating up a team that was in a rebuilding situation. The problem is with Atlanta, they don't even realize that they're rebuilding as they play in the season. That's the problem with Atlanta. They don't realize they're rebuilding as they play. We admitted that we were rebuilding.
Yeah, we beat y'all. There's no excuses. We
Nope,
only can
none
play.
at
We
all.
only can play what's in front of us. Y'all were in front of us, and we did what we had to do.
both times.
Well, if you want that to be your Super Bowl, brother, I'm going to do like all the ladies in Atlanta. They're going to be waiting for that ring.
God.
Hey, talking about who's waiting for the ring, we talking about Lamar and Josh Allen, bro.
Great.
Both of them have basically underperformed in the playoffs. I mean, really, I thought for sure one of them was going to the Super Bowl last year. With Patrick Mahomes out the way, that was just like the perfect setup, and it didn't happen. Even one of them got there, and I'm sitting here like, what's going on, man? At this point, we got to start having this bus conversation, or who is the biggest playoff disappointment? Is it Lamar or is it Josh Allen? I don't know, man.
I would love to dive in on that.
I hate to say it, but I think I'm leaning towards Lamar. What you got, CL?
To me, I'm leaning towards Josh.
Okay. I know you felt strongly about how he played last year.
Yeah, for the simple reason of how he played last year in that playoff game. As much as they talk about that playoff game, they deliberately not mention his turnovers. They deliberately not. They want to get on Keon Coleman from Opelousas, Louisiana, but they don't want to talk about those interceptions that he. They don't want to talk about that fumble that he threw back 15 yards behind him trying to run the football. At least when Lamar has played, you've seen his tight end drop the ball wide open in the end zone. You've seen other things happen with Lamar, and it just wasn't all on him. Now, we know that football is the ultimate team sport, but if we're literally breaking it down from Lamar to Josh Allen, I believe there's so much hype behind Allen, he really can't get over that hump because they expect him to be Paul Bunyan, Superman, in the better games, and he really needs to rely on the players around him. Josh Allen bombed so bad in that playoff game that his coach that did not deserve to get fired got fired because his coach didn't have not one turnover in that playoff game.
Yeah, but his coach also made a boneheaded decision and didn't go for a field goal and cost him the game. So that don't get you
I think
fired.
Josh Allen cost him the game.
You could have ended the half on a high note, just kicking a field goal and getting out of there. but you decide to be greedy and you turn the ball over. So at the end of the day, yes,
Who
Josh
turned
made
that
a bad.
ball over?
Yes, Josh turned it over, but at the end of the day,
Okay.
the coach he got too greedy. There's a
I'm gonna
reason
tell
that
you what all my coaches tell me.
you remember
I can't do it for you.
you
I
remember
can't
Ron
do it
Rivera?
for you.
You remember Ron
Yeah.
Rivera? What they call
Riverboat
Ron
Run.
Rivera? It's a
Riverboat
reason
Run.
He got a job. There's a
Right.
reason he don't have a job. I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to call this out because they both have had underperformance when you're talking about the wide receiver position. I mean, you bring in Odell Beckham, who was a shell of himself, and I guess he's saying because he's playing flag football now that he's ready to go. I don't know. I don't think the two equate, but we'll see. No, I think Odell's a little too high on himself. And then you've looked at guys for the Ravens that have underperformed outside of Mark Andrews. When you're talking about guys that can catch the ball, Derrick Henry has not shown himself well in the playoffs yet, whether it's for the Ravens or the Raiders. I mean, whether it's for the Ravens or the Titans. He hasn't really, had that breakout game. And then you look at Josh Allen, he just hadn't had a lot to work with. Ever since they got rid of Stephon Diggs, the guy has not had a lot to work with. Dawson Knox, and then you got a bunch of other guys. I get it, Cook is a dynamic running back, but you also got to put your dynamic running back in a position to win in the playoffs. And I haven't seen Sean McDermott do that. I don't know.
Number one rushing offense.
And you go away from it too. That's not the quarterback's fault. That's the coach's fault.
Well, yeah, and that's the same thing that happened in Baltimore as well. I'm gonna be professional and call them the Ravens, even though I'm a Steelers fan. And I'll be honest with you.
What you want to call them, the Browns?
The Ratbirds. The Browns. That's probably worse than the Ratbirds. But
I mean, that's all they are. Is the Browns. They moved to another city.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But man, look. So all right. So up until this last playoff game, if you would have asked me this question 3 months ago, I would have told you Lamar without question. The issue is that what Josh Allen has done in every playoff game, and I know he's run into a juggernaut named Patrick Mahomes. I'm aware of that.
Over again.
But at some point, you got to make the plays. And that's what it really boils down to. You can say this about everybody in every sport, man, and I can name a couple other, comparisons very similar to this one where you got to make the plays. I wanted to say Lamar Jackson because at the end of the day, you're the quarterback. And so while, yes, Mark Andrews dropped that pass that you put in his hand, you almost could have handed it to him. It would have been easier. I think about the Isaiah Likely play against Kansas City early in the season, a couple of seasons ago. But you talk about number one rushing offense a couple years ago in the playoffs, and I think this was against the Bills. When the first year that they had Derrick Henry, and they literally just decided. I think they ran him maybe 10 times the whole game. This was the team that led the league in rushing that year. 150, 160 yards a game. The week before, they had just beat the Steelers rushing for nearly 300 yards. I mean, just unreal what they had done to the Steelers rushing attack, and then just went away from it. But that playoff game, as CL said, man, what I saw from Josh Allen is who I've always seen Josh Allen to be, is a guy he's got big numbers, but his playmaking ability in clutch moments has never been impressive to me. I know somebody can pull up the TikTok with all the comebacks for Josh Allen, but in the playoffs, you got to make the plays. It comes down to making the plays, and I just haven't seen it from him for years. And the turnovers in that last playoffs game were literally the culmination that leads me to believe that he has been the biggest artist between the two of these two in the playoffs.
Hey man, it may come down to it's the Madden curse. It could be that. Everybody that's on the cover of that game, at one point or another, they come and get you and snatch you back, man. I don't know. Hey, Mike, you know what I see with both of these guys? You remember when Michael Jeffrey Jordan played for Chicago and he played for Doug Collins and he couldn't get over, you know what I'm saying? And they bring in Phil. And Phil bring that triangle and Tex, and they look totally different. They both got a new coach now. Maybe this is the differentiator. Maybe now one of them got their Phil Jackson. What you see?
Well, I know they both said Josh Allen. I'm gonna have to, I was looking up statistics and everything, so I have to. Yeah, I have to go with Lamar Jackson. I mean, they're looking at the playoff resume. Lamar Jackson, 3 and 4, 6 TDs, 6 interceptions. I mean, that's not good. Josh Allen actually 25 TDs, 5 interceptions, 6 and 5. That sounds like a lot better than me. And then also Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, it seems like his play style is kind of neutralized. They get him to have to play more from the pocket, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not really working for him. And I mean, if you look at his, his rating in the regular season is 100+, and it plunges in the playoff. He's
Right. Like
hover.
65%, like 55%, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
it's just stuff like that. So I really have to say Lamar Jackson. I mean, even though I know you're talking about Josh Allen in the clutch, Josh Allen still overall plays well. It's just he just can't get over the hump. It doesn't lead to a win. Lamar Jackson, he's not leading the wins and he's playing bad. So I have to say
Mm.
Lamar Jackson in this.
Hey, Lamar Jackson might be the Allen Iverson, brother. You know what I'm saying? You got that one time of magic, and that's it.
Well, what I have noticed too, because originally I wanted to say Lamar Jackson, but I also realized what my guy said earlier, and including Buffalo, they will run themselves into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get into the playoffs, they put it all on the quarterback, and then it all falls down. Those years that Baltimore was running and they would run straight to the playoffs, and then obviously Buffalo having the number one rushing offense last year, and they run themselves into the playoffs, and then they put it all on Josh, and it all falls down. So two things can be true at the same time.
All right.
So it's possible that it was the coaching. It was the coaching that decided to switch it up in the playoffs, because the one thing I think we all can agree upon, gentlemen, is when you get into the playoffs, every defense you play is good.
That's right.
Everybody knows what
Yeah.
you're going to do. Everybody has the tape to stop whatever you do, because in the National Football League, they're not going to let you do what you're good at. They're going to make you do what you're bad at and expect for you to win. So that's just the thing I wanted to chime in on. But I think, like I said, I think we all are right, because two things can be true at the same time.
And here's
Let
the
me
thing with football too. Here's the thing
Okay.
with football. Man. With football, it's unlike basketball. Basketball, you can get to the playoffs and switch it up and get hot, and it could work for
Right.
you. You might be hot with 3-pointer. You might be running the pick and roll, and you don't normally do that.
Yeah.
In football, you can't do that. You are who you are. You
Gotta
know what I'm
go
saying?
who came to dance with.
They were who
If
we
you
thought they were.
Another thing, if you air it out, look at the Rams. They aired it out all the way to a Super Bowl. People said you could not do that, but you
And they
got to
did.
be who you are, and that's the thing. You got to be able to still impose your will, even when they're taking things away from you. And if you look at
Right.
the teams that made great playoff runs, whether they won a Super Bowl or not, but at least made a deep run, they kept their identity no matter what. If it was a defensive team, if it was an offensive team, whatever their identity was, stayed in place. And that's what got them success to make a deep playoff run. And that's what's been the kind of Achilles heel for me, for both of them. They get away from who they really are. What you had to say, Blocker?
So let me I'm gonna just tell you this one quick story, and it kind of give you my perspective on both of these quarterbacks and quarterback play in the playoffs as a whole. I don't know if you guys remember this Super Bowl a few years ago when the Seattle Seahawks met the New England Patriots. Not last year, but many
Yeah.
years ago. Russell Wilson on, was it second down? It was second and goal.
Mm-hmm.
They ran Marshawn Lynch, and he got stuffed. And then the next play, he threw a pass play, thinking that they were going to run. It was a goal line play they had run several times, over and over again, and it was very successful every time. But the Patriots were ready for it. And so the rumor I heard, now I don't know how much is true, but it's the rumor I heard, was that the original play call was a run pass check. And the check was to that pass play. And they say that Mr. Ego took over, and he wanted to be the Super Bowl MVP, so he wanted to throw the game-winning touchdown instead of just running it back with Marshawn Lynch again. And so here's my perspective on the whole thing, is that as a quarterback, it's your job. And I know there's plays called, and you got to have the other 10 guys doing what they're supposed to do in the middle of all of this, because Javon Curse could have ran that route better, and we would have been talking about, the Seahawks on a back-to-back Super Bowl win. But at the end of the day, you got to make the smartest play. That's what the quarterback is on there to do. When I coached an offense, it was a minor league offense, I told my quarterbacks, and we developed our offense for our quarterbacks to think and say, hey, because I'm not there. So I'm not out there. I don't even see what you're seeing. As a matter of fact, I was up in the box. So, but I don't have that same thought of what you're seeing on the field. The quarterback has to put you in the best position. And so if the quarterback's not going to put you in the best position, and I know, I was looking at the stats. So Josh Allen's got so many passing yards in the postseason. He's also got more turnovers in the postseason than Lamar Jackson. But at the end of the day, you got to know when, as you say, maintain your identity. Dance with who brung you, as my coach used to say. If running the ball is what got you into the playoffs, I'm willing to bet it's what's going to get you through the playoffs to the Super Bowl. And I believe that Josh Allen gets a little bit of Superman mentality and thinks he's got to do it all by himself. The same thing with Lamar Jackson. They put that pressure on themselves, and you start listening to that narrative and that outside noise, and I think that's part of it. And I don't judge him for it. But if you're asking me, that's what my perspective is. The quarterback's got to make the play.
And if you look at the playoffs, as far as the run that New England was on, every time that somebody actually ran the ball at them, they had a lot of problems. Three teams did it to them. They had a lot of problems. And ego made Malcolm Butler the MVP.
Right.
Being was smart. And here's the thing: you still had 2 more downs. You could have went 4th down. You could have went through all those and then 4th down, throw the ball,
or take off and run it on a bootleg. There's so many other things.
And to your point, this is why Peyton Manning is a great quarterback, because Peyton Manning will take out of a stupid play.
Yeah, every time.
He'll go away from what the offensive coordinator is telling him because he sees something. I hate to say
and
this,
that's ironic that you bring that up, because I actually thought about when the Patriots when the Colts won the Super Bowl, when they got down 2 inside the red zone, inside the 5, you just knew that Peyton was going to throw the Dallas Clark, but in turn, he turned around and handed it off to Joseph Adai.
Yeah.
And,
obviously that LSU product, we're very proud of those gentlemen, all those boys from Louisiana that pulled it off in that Super Bowl. But Baca is right. The quarterback does have to be the mind, the ears, and the soul of the team when it comes to that immediate crunch time, because at the end of the day, when they go back in history, they're gonna say who won, who lost, and you want to be on that side of a win, regardless if you throw the touchdown or you hand it off. And I think the Peyton Manning, knowing that he's probably one of the more prolific passers in NFL history, he won his Super Bowl by running the football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did the same thing when he got to Denver. He did the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So
did John Elway.
Yeah, is Lamar Jackson the James Harden of the NFL? Is that what it is?
Oh man,
or whatever. He plays good in the regular season, get his MVPs. He's number 1, has a number 1 seed in the early exit. Is that what it is?
God, look, I ain't gonna say James Harden began. He used to get to the conference finals kind of consistently. So you can't.
He only been to the finals once, and he was the 6th man when he got there. You know what I'm saying?
I just think once again, when you get to the playoffs, everybody's defense is good. I'll bring you back to the year that Lamar played the San Diego Chargers, and they ran, I think, 5 DBs on the defense. They used like 5 DBs on the defense, and damn near played Derwin James as a slot corner or a linebacker.
That's right.
So it eliminated Lamar from running the football and scrambling all over the place. And so they took the ball out of the hands of the running back in that game, even though it was San Diego. The North is Los Angeles, but they were light up front, and they still didn't run the football because they knew when the Ravens got into the playoffs, they were going to put it all on Lamar, and he was going to have to pass them in the playoffs, and it did not work out. So I kind of give Lamar an asterisk, because we all know that there's a lot of people in this NFL that wants Josh Allen to be the Paul Bunyan, and I'll say it right here, the great white hope of the quarterback position, and they want him to get it done. And I do agree with Baca that that's kind of what happened in this last playoff game, and it got in his mind that he has to do it, and he failed.
I agree with you as far as what happened to Lamar, because I've seen it happen to Michael Vick before it even happened to him. The same thing would happen to Michael Vick. We're going to put you in a position where you're not going to run all over the place on us, man. We got some guys that can keep up with you, or at least keep you contained where you're not going to make no big 25-yard, 30-yard plays on us. That's not going to happen. So we saw the same thing, and the Falcons couldn't coach their way out of it. Unfortunately, we had Jim Moore at the time, not really a coaching genius. But here's the thing. I've also looked at this and said I would agree with you if Josh Allen actually had the weapons to be successful. The team has failed him in putting weapons around him since Stephon Diggs got out of there. They failed him in that. They've expected this guy to beat Steve Young, but if you look at Steve Young had weapons all over the field, so he didn't have to be doing hero ball. You've had Josh Allen lead the league and lead his team in passing and rushing. That's wild work. Your quarterback should not be doing that, especially if he ain't no fast dude like Lamar.
I
Josh
think
is
that's
running
coaching.
through people instead of running away from people.
That
So
is.
I
that's
think
only
that's
going to
coaching,
quarterback
gentlemen.
hurt.
I think
that
that's
is.
coaching.
So let's talk
Because
about what isn't coaching, man. We talking about Dak Prescott. At this point, he is on the verge of being Tony Romo 2.0, man. I
Yikes.
kind of feel like if he don't get this done, at least get to the Super Bowl, man, his career is a complete disappointment. I'm seeing a Tony Romo 2.0. He basically got the same playoff record as Tony Romo. Can't get to the playoffs. Every time we talking about, man, the Cowboys back. They back. And what happened?
Right.
They fall
We're not
out.
back.
Well, let me be the first to tell you, I'm no Cowboys fan. I've never been a Cowboys fan. I detest the Cowboys. But last year at Charles Haley's foundation party, well, his nonprofit foundation party, Dak Prescott comes in, and obviously me and Dak are from Louisiana, and we got a chance to chop it up. And I was able to talk to Dak and get a perspective of what he sees out there. And you want to talk about not having weapons. Now, granted, last year, yeah, they had three, and
Pickens
obviously,
and CeeDee Lamb.
yeah, and CD, another boy from Louisiana. CD is awesome. But there, and even Williams, they were actually having a running game with Williams. That's why they re-signed him immediately.
Mhm.
But the defense was trash. Dallas has been light up the ass for as long as I can remember. They cannot stop the run. And when you can't stop the run, ultimately you can't stop the pass. So every game you're putting Dak in a shootout, and that just doesn't bode well, especially when you get to the playoffs once again, where everybody defense is good in the playoffs. And I actually, to a man, saw Dak slim down. He was a slimmer version of himself. So he could last longer and be more effective for his team. But I think the team failed him because defensively, they bought into Stephon Diggs' brother being really a lockdown cornerback. They thought that Blaine was actually a good corner. He wasn't nothing but another Larry Brown in the Super Bowl, had one good year. They just failed him. Then they traded away their best defensive player, arguably one of the best defensive players in this league. But you expect them to be a better team, even though they brought Clark in. Clark kind of helped a little bit on that D-line, but once again, I'm no Dallas fan altogether. I have love for Dak because we all two guys from Louisiana, but I do give Dak a lot of love because she didn't sign a prenup, and he said, hell no.
Hey, expert, man.
Yeah.
I got to give him it. He's right about Micah Parsons. That's just Jerry's ego. Jerry's ego got in the way there. Because here's the thing. If you keep Micah Parsons and you still make this trade for Quentin Williams, now you your defense. Now you're going somewhere. And Trayvon is a good corner, but I mean, if you can't get no pressure, bro, you asking ain't no corner can hold up.
Barbecue chicken.
Unless you Deion Sanders, ain't nobody can do that. We only seen
chicken.
well, it's two guys we seen do this, or maybe three. Revis Island do it, Deion, and I'll probably say Darryl Green. You seen them three guys hold up without pressure. I've never seen anybody else do it, man. What you see? Do you see Dak being basically Tony Romo 2.0?
Well, I guess you can say that, but I don't see Dak as a failure. I think he's a disappointment relative to expectations. The Cowboys' expectations is like Super Bowl or bust, even though they haven't been to the Super Bowl since I think like 1996 or something like that.
95.
It was 95, yeah, somewhere around there. So it's Super Bowl or bust, even though they haven't been there since 1995, So, I mean, look, Dak, he's consistently been a top 10 QB. I mean, he's brought stability to the franchise, which is hard to find. He just had a lot of team shortcomings. And, I mean, I can't really call the man a failure. I mean, he's done his thing for the team. He just, it just didn't come out to a Super Bowl win. He just didn't come out to making it to the Super Bowl. So, even though I'll call Lamar Jackson a failure, I can't really say the same about Dak. I mean, if you think about Dak, if he was on one of the other teams, other than the Cowboys, he wouldn't really be looked at as he would be more of a success. But
Right.
just It's just the Cowboys, they look at it as Super Bowl or bust. So now you look at Dak and people want to call him a failure. But, I think he's done his thing on the team.
Blanca, was we looking at Tony Romo under the wrong lens? Because I've
So-
seen the same career over and over again. Tony had he had Dez Bryant. He got
to answer your
was a cat.
question. To answer your question, yes, Dak is Tony Romo 2.0. The better question is, what did we really expect out of a 6th round, 7th round pick in Tony Romo, or undrafted in Tony Romo, and then a 4th round pick out of Dak Prescott? Think expert hit the nail on the head when he said that the expectations were higher than what they should have been. I mean, because as a like CL, a Cowboys hater, professed and professional Cowboys hater. I watched my friends from Dallas every summer say, "Oh, this is our year, man." And you look, you said it. They haven't been able to stop the run in 30 years. They haven't had a good defense in 8-10 years, and none of those holes have been filled. As a matter of fact, the defense has gotten worse when they let
DeMarcus
Lawrence. They let. I mean, the number of defenders
got a Super Bowl ring now.
The number of defenders that have left the Cowboys and become so much better. But I mean, you think about the Commanders head coach
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. When Dan Quinn left, their defense took a big hit, and they did nothing to fill it. I mean, as a matter of fact, they brought in the Bears' former head coach, who was a terrible head coach, and a terrible defensive coach.
Yeah, you talking about my guy from the Packers. You talking about Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, man, look.
Now he's the Steelers head coach.
Let's just not talk about it. It's fine. Look,
real quick.
Go ahead.
I just think and I think once again, I think you gentlemen are all right. I think just the delusion of the Dallas fan base to actually think that they're actually there, one player away, one situation away from being back high on the hog. No pun intended, Baca. It's just so delusional that you think Dak Prescott. I think Dak, like I said, not just because we're both from Louisiana.
Right.
I think Dak has overachieved from what the true expectation of him should have been, instead of the delusional expectation of the Cowboy Nation.
And you look 2 years ago, man, that guy was cooking, bro. And it's a disappointment that the team did not have the defense to support him. When you look at Dallas Cowboy fans, y'all remember Friday when Chris Tucker went on the date and the girl told him she looked like
Freddie Jackson.
Janet Jackson. She got looking like Freddie Jackson.
But she looked like Freddie Jackson.
Yeah.
That's what they looking at. They looking at Freddie Jackson instead of Janet Jackson. That's what the expectation is, and that's why we keep ending up in this situation. Let's talk about expectation. I'm talking about this guy, Joe Burrow. Oh, go ahead, expert.
Well, real quick, just to end it off. I mean, Dak, he has 4,000-yard seasons. He has a high TD to interception ratio. I mean, the dude wins 12 games a year. I just can't call that a failure.
Yeah,
I can't call it a failure.
You need to make a trade for. How about this? You keep talking about trading Penix for Shedeur. How about trading for Dak? How about that?
Atlanta would love Dak. Atlanta would love Dak.
I'll trade Penix for you. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, chill out, man. Oh, man. See, we got to move on. This guy crazy, man. I'm trying to help the guy, and then, man, you on here drinking. Yo, we talking about Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow, at this point, I got to be like, I don't know the man ever going to get back to the Super Bowl, because that team just keeps going backwards, and then you got the cheapest owner in football, and I'm consistently watching you go backwards over and over and over and over again. And I think there's another situation of expectation not being realistic, and you putting way too much pressure on Joe Burrow. Plus, he can't stay healthy, man. I know a lot of people talking about, will he ever win a Super Bowl? I don't think so, because I don't know. One, he hasn't even proven over the last, 3 seasons that he can be healthy when it matters at the end. So I definitely don't see him getting back to Super Bowl. I don't know, Blocker. Do you see him getting back? I don't see it.
I don't at all. Look, CL's been saying it, for a minute, that in the playoffs everybody's defense is good except for the Bengals. The Bengals defense was terrible that year that they made it to the playoffs. I will grant you that Joe Cool did his thing that year, like nothing that the league has seen before. But You got to have defense. You got to have smart play. One thing I will criticize Joe Burrow about, and it won't be much. This dude can ball. I'll admit that. But one of the things, and as offensive lineman, I gotta show some love to the O-line, because a lot of people have said bad things about his offensive line. I believe that what we saw out of Joe Burrow in his full season, which was a Super Bowl run, we saw him spending too much time looking for Jamar Chase on the big boy post instead of taking that deacon.
Always trying to go for the big play.
And just like those cornerbacks you discussed that can't cover that long, you can't expect us fat boys to go that long with these skinny defensive ends either. You got your 3 seconds, and you better get rid of it. So if Jamar Chase can't run that big boy post sooner, you better figure it out with a tight end or a running back or something, because you got 3 seconds, buddy. That's what I'm going to give you. And that's all I got. That's as long as I can hold without getting a penalty.
Right.
So he always looking for the bang eight, bro. He always looking for the bang eight downfield instead of just taking the
dumping.
I would love to give some reality to the situation, gentlemen. First of all, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals shouldn't have never made it to the Super Bowl, let alone win it anyway.
Facts.
I think we've all kind of got away from the reality of football. Yes, Joe Burrow is a talent, obviously coming from Ohio State, and he ended up on one of the best offensive teams in college football at LSU with Chase, obviously another gentleman from Louisiana. But I think the key that everybody is really missing in that whole dynamic, even including their lack of defense and their explosive offense, even with Thaddeus Moss, another cat from, well, I wouldn't say he's from Louisiana, but he played for LSU. The key cognitive of that situation was Joe Mixon, the running back, the guy that, and what does a running back do? What does a true running back do? He helps the quarterback out, and he helps the defense out. He took the pressure off Joe Burrow in times where he didn't have to throw, because there is no recipe in football that you throw the ball 46 times and you're supposed to win. So you have to have balance to win in football. So I think it was a one-off for the Bengals to actually make it to the Super Bowl, and it was a nice story. You wanted to see, grown men cry if the Bengals would have actually won it. Ickey Woods is probably on the sideline. James Brooks, all these good Carl Pickens, all these great Chris Collinsworth, all these great former Cincinnati Bengals. It would have been a great story. But the reality of football is when you take the ball out of the hands of the running back and put it all on a quarterback, big boys like number 99 and whoever else was on that Rams defensive line, they come in to eat. Yeah. And that's in it. What happened is what exactly was supposed to happen. They did not protect him. You cannot expect Joe Burrow to actually pass the football when you only have a 5-man protection against an exotic defense. Once again, the Rams had I wouldn't call it a great defense. Sure. The Rams had definitely a formidable defense. And the last thing I'll say about this, gentleman, and Joe Burrow, the most important ability is availability.
Right. Hey, expert, this proved why Raheem Morris should just be a coordinator. He was really good at being a coordinator for the Rams. He's not a good head coach. He's a good coordinator. We've seen it in Tampa. He's not a good head coach. He should not head coach. And I hate to say it because I like the brother. I like all his rah-rah speeches and stuff like that. But it is what it is. When have you seen in sports an owner be cheap and the team be successful? Like the Browns have, and I'm talking about the owner, Paul Brown. Him as an owner, his family, they are notorious for being cheap. That is their whole reputation around the NFL. When have you ever seen that happen in professional sports? When you have a super cheap owner that don't want to pay anybody and it be successful?
You're not going to be successful if you're not paying nobody. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I mean, look at in basketball. Look at the Clippers for a long time, man. They weren't paying nobody.
Donald Sterling, cheap.
Yeah, extra cheap. It just doesn't work out. But to Joe Burrow, do I think he's overrated? No, I don't think. I think Joe Burrow's not overrated. I think he's going to be like, you look at him like how people look at Dan Marino. Dan Marino's great, but not legendary, basically. You know what I'm saying?
I think Dan Marino's legendary.
You think he's legendary?
I think he's legendary, bro. If you look at Dan didn't have the groceries to work with. I see the parallel from there.
5,000 yards back then.
Dan is legendary, bro.
Yeah.
I think
a lot of guys doing what he did.
You think he's legendary? Okay. Well,
If
hey,
Dan
No
hadn't
running
had
okay.
the right
game.
groceries, Dan would have probably at least 2-3 rings.
Yeah, it just
No running game, not mobile, throwing for
mhm.
5,000 yards in the early 90s, mid 90s.
Yeah.
I think Dan's
I
Well,
mean,
it's
So
just
if
when
you
I
name his top two wide receivers,
the March
one when he
brother.
started to get hot, Tony Martin, what they do? They send him to Atlanta. I love it. It helped me get to the Super Bowl. O.J. McDuffie. I mean, come on, bro. You gonna put O.J. McDuffie on a list with T.O. or somebody else? I'm not even gonna put him on a list with Isaac Bruce, man. So yeah,
I'll even give you a short comparison. Even Dan Marino's second to last or last year, they were really winning the division when the great Cecil Collins, another star gentleman from Louisiana, was second in rushing in the NFL before he had his situation that got him suspended. They had an opportunity to go. But by that time, Dan was in his late 30s, and he was just literally a statue, the quintessential statue in the pocket, and it derailed their championship run. But I honestly, and not because Patrick Surtain's Miami Dolphins jersey is in the background, and obviously Pat, another great Louisianian, played with Dan Marino. Dan was the man.
Dan the
hey,
man.
Dan.
yeah.
When you talking about the era you talking about, he's busy filming Ace Ventura at that point. He was all washed up. Hey, and this other thing, expert, I'm gonna let you get your money off. I think Miami might be one of the hardest places to play in the whole NFL, bro. It's way too many distractions. It's
That's a
way
nice
too many.
term for it, is
That's like one of the
distraction.
places that I think that's a place too that players stay away from. Because if you notice
Mhm.
when dudes go over there, they end up getting divorced. They end up losing their wife. You better ask Tyreek Hill and a bunch of other people because it's too much work out there. If you halfway famous in Miami with a little change in your pocket, that might be one of the worst places to be to get in trouble. And you may not get in trouble with the police, but you may not be too focused as you sitting there trying to put something together and have some action, So I don't know, man. I think that's got a little something to do with it too.
It's a gift and a curse, gentlemen. That's for sure.
And let me ask y'all something about Joe Burrow before we finish up. So I had this debate with a homie of mine off air, and I've always wanted to ask it on air.
Go ahead.
Jamar Chase went in the first round to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were a dynamic connection and have been the entire time that
I already know what you're about to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Should they have gone with Penei Sewell?
Yes, they should have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
just checking.
Yeah.
Just checking. As a
You
line
gotta
again,
protect your quarterback. You gotta protect your
Because they
quarterback.
still had T. Higgins.
they had
That's
to,
why.
Right.
That's
And you
the
still
answer
and
to
at
the
the time I
question.
think with Tyler Boyd still on the roster too
that
at that
Tyler
point.
Boyd as well. Yes, sir.
Right.
They
So
already had.
yeah.
I mean, look, it worked out. What 1,400 yards this first season. They've had, I think, in the last 3-4 years they've been together, nearly 5,000 yards to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is, if he's not first, he's second to Justin Jefferson during his time in the National Football League. So I'm not telling you that their connection wasn't electric and hasn't been,
No,
but
but here's the thing.
But
You
it's the
put the
same.
cart before the horse, man. You
You
gotta
know what it
protect your
is, though,
quarterback.
gentlemen? It's the same situation almost in Dallas. You realize Dallas is never going to make it back to the Super Bowl.
thank
Jerry
you,
Jones
Jesus.
is not selling Super Bowls. He's selling merchandise. He's selling parking. He's selling jerseys. He's selling seats. He's selling Pepsi. It's the same thing with the gentleman in Cincinnati.
Paul
Them
Brown.
going to the Super Bowl was just enough to get that fan base to still ride and still go to Paul Brown Stadium on the river, right over the river is Kentucky, even getting people to come over. It was just enough to put butts in seats. They're not selling championships. They're selling everything but. And as long as you get your fan base to achieve and come through and spend that money, that's good enough for them. Because if you know anything about football and revenue, majority of owners, they lose money every
Yeah.
year. So
It's a
you
tax
have to
shelter.
be that type of team that turns a profit. Because at the end of the day, 31 teams should be pissed off every year because there's only one team that can win the Super Bowl.
Hey,
And
expert, get your money off with this. That sounds like the Atlanta Braves, bro. I've been telling y'all that for
Or the
years with
Falcons.
the Atlanta Braves. Now, Falcons, I think Arthur Blank actually wants to win. Does he know how to? That's another question. I think he actually does want to win. He does do things to try to put together a winning organization. I've
Yeah,
watched
before
the
he
Atlanta
dies.
Braves consistently do just enough to get you to come to the game. And now it's not working anymore, but they'll try it out. Yeah, we got 20 division banners. Cares if you only got 20 division banners in one World Series? That's not successful. That's an embarrassment. That's not good for the
Bobby
legends that
Cox
you
is
have
rolling over in his grave.
I'm telling you,
Chipper
bro, for the
Jones,
legends
Chipper
that you have
Jones
play for this
rolling
team,
over in
no. For the fact that you had Chipper Jones, Greg Maddox, John Smoltz, I mean, Big Cat,
Look,
Fred
I
McGriff,
actually got something
legend
for
after
y'all.
legend after, and you got one ring to show for it. And then
I have
you turn around, you get another with my guy, and you run him out of here and you let him go
Freddie.
to LA.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I actually did this for y'all, gentlemen. If you look next to OJ's jersey, I do have Deion's signed Atlanta baseball jersey. Of course, I'm not going to show you the front part because you know what name it says, but that's Deion's. Those were the years. I can even admit that I was an Atlanta Braves fan during those years, and I wanted them to beat Kirby Puckett. As much as I love and respect Kirby Puckett, but I wanted Atlanta to win. Go ahead, Mike. I didn't want to get y'all didn't want to jump in front of you, but I definitely had to let y'all see Prime's jersey hanging up in my memorabilia room.
In that same time frame, we had a trade for Barry Bonds, and they walked away from it.
What?
That's not winning. That's not winning. These guys were happy enough to get there, and that was enough for them. Go ahead, expert.
No. I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything about the baseball thing. But that is what it is. I'm kind of upset with a lot of, Atlanta sports right now. I've been upset with the Hawks. I've been upset with the Falcons. Upset with the Braves. We got to kind of get it together, But back to the original thing, with Joe Burrow or whatever, just going, piggybacking, going back with it. Like I said, I don't think he's overrated. The dude, I mean, he actually beat Mahomes in the playoff. He's had big performances. Multiple AFC championships. I mean, a 70% completion rate. I mean, the dude really has done his thing. So yeah, just to go back to that, I really think he's a good player. He's not overrated. He just had some unfortunate situations.
The owner's cheap, bro. You cannot win with
until Cincinnati gets back to running the football like they did when they had Joe Mixon. They'll be the Cincinnati Bengals. You realize they lost Hendrickson to a great contract from the Baltimore Ravens. They barely had DBs. Now they lost their best pass rusher. You just can't expect for them to be anything but what they are. I didn't think it made sense to sign a T. Higgins to that big deal, as well as you had to pay Chase his money. But to spend that much money between Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, they're taking up so much money that there really isn't any money for defense, if you really think about it. On the show on ESPN, they tend to call me the GM because I understand the numbers and I understand how you allocate certain amount of numbers to the offense or to the defense to help out. And they are so unbalanced in their spending that it's just a no-brainer that they'll never go back.
And here's the thing, to put a bow on it, man. When's the last time you seen a team have a superstar wideout win a Super Bowl? We got to go way, way back. Look at Kansas City. They haven't had no superstars. I mean,
Jerry Rice, maybe.
Tyreek Hill was dope, but he wasn't Jerry Rice. You know what I'm saying? No. And Tyreek Hill is like a specialty guy.
That's why they traded him.
He's a specialty guy. What they do? Win a Super Bowl without him. Look at Tom Brady's run in New England and in Tampa. I mean, I love Mike
Deion Branch won the Super Bowl MVP.
Exactly.
And where is he now?
You just need good guys. You don't got to have a superstar because you spread that out. You need
because
this
is the ultimate team game, gentlemen. This is the ultimate team game, and it's all about balance. It's all about striking while the iron is hot, no matter if you're a good defense, a good offense, or even a good special teams. Because even if you look at today's Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, what did, obviously former New Orleans Saint, what did Rashid Shaheed do on special team? He brought it back. He gave them that advantage. Football is 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. So at the end of the day, you have to have all these things clicking at the right time to bring it home. And that's why I think it's just a no-brainer for Dallas. It's a no-brainer for Cincinnati that they'll never do it because they are not balanced on any kind of level.
And look at what the Seahawks did. They DK'd to Pittsburgh and opened up everything for them from a salary cap perspective. Wow. Let's talk about opening up, man. Hey, expert, we got to take it to the hometown, man. So, we hear Razo Rundown, Bird Gang. Y'all know what time it is, bro. Right now, we are in a rebuild. We've been in a rebuild probably since DQ left. I'm going to just be honest, man. It's been a rebuild since DQ got
That's what I said.
I mean, because we had Roller Coaster Ritter, who we know it did not work out. And y'all know I was against Ritter from day one. I wasn't a Marcus Mariota fan because I watched the guy fail in Tennessee and I saw him fail at Oregon. I already knew what the guy was. He's okay. He's a backup, but he's not a starter. And now we've turned to Michael Penix, who, because injuries can't play under center, got bad knees. Now we look like we turned to Tua. We tried the Kirk Cousins thing. He got injured and it didn't work out. I mean, at this point, I had to say maybe the rebuild is a failure because now we don't went through what 3 coaches, we don't went through 2 GMs, and now we on what quarterback number 4. I don't know, man. I hate to say it. I'm a Falcons fan. I'm gonna be a Falcons fan till I die. But the rebuild looks unsuccessful. Expert, I don't know. Help me out, man.
Yeah.
I just don't see it right now.
So I mean, like the only good thing I can say is we have good skill pieces. Like Bijan, Drake, Kyle Pitts. We have good skill pieces, but the problem is we spent all this money on Kirk Cousins only to draft Michael Penix. You know what I'm saying? To draft Michael Penix Jr. at number 8. And it just is not working out. And I think Penix, if I had to look to anything, Penix is just that right there is the reason why the rebuild is a failure because of him. And now
You
you
don't think
look
it's
at it
because
now
of Kirk though? Because I mean, if you look at last year, he was on fire, and then he gets hurt in New Orleans and won't come out the game. Michael Penix didn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying?
bro,
That wasn't on Michael Penix. That's on Kirk Cousins and Raheem Morris.
I
And
feel
look
you,
at
but
this. Penix led 3 drives to get you in position to get to the playoffs, and you could not either make a field goal or stop a nosebleed, bro. That ain't on the quarterback.
look, now, look, Penix, I do not believe in him. And now we're looking for another quarterback. Now we brought in Tua. You know what I'm saying? We're looking for another quarterback because we know Penix. I mean, his injuries, and even when he's not injured, when he's out there playing, he doesn't look like a starting QB. I mean, it's just I don't really believe in him, and I think our rebuild is just we're basically in rebuild purgatory right now.
We stuck in neutral. We like the Hawks. You remember how the Hawks used to be with Trae Young? They were just stuck in neutral, playing. Then we like a playing
Yeah.
team.
So
Yeah.
listen, I'm doing the math. I'm looking at the offseason moves, and I saw some, and I was trying to remember, didn't the Falcons do something special this offseason? No, they did not.
And we did a bunch of average stuff. You bring in Ozuzware. I like that. You bring in a kicker. We needed a kicker.
Right.
That's what's been killing us. We know that.
But
so
your head coach,
yeah,
your
I
head
get it.
coach is meh. You need a second receiver opposite of Drake. You don't get it. As a matter of fact, they're getting ready. They designated Kyle Pitts, so there's a highly likely chance he won't be on the team to start next season. And
Right.
Don't say that, Blocker. They can't trade him, man. That guy's got too much talent.
But he gonna walk away.
What's going to be so sad is he's going to
Yeah.
go somewhere else and be the real weapon we all have expected him to be when the Falcons drafted him.
Well,
I didn't want to say that the Falcons rebuild is a failure, but I mean, what if I used to say the same thing about the Cowboys. What have y'all done that makes you feel like it's a success? And I don't have anything, and that's why I gotta say,
stuck in neutral.
I hate to say it, even my favorite part of what makes you guys feel special again is the defensive additions from last offseason. James Pierce is out here causing all types of mischief amongst his lady friends. We don't know if he's gonna be able to play. Everything is on fire in Atlanta, bro.
He couldn't accept the rejection, man. She rejected him for Jack Harlow. He wasn't trying to hear that.
Jack Harlow? I would have ran into that woman too. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Right.
Jason, you was right. You was right to hit that girl with your
Right.
Lamborghini.
Right.
Jack Harlow? All right.
Bro,
Anyway.
that man is in a whole different tax bracket than him. Cut it out, yo.
Gentlemen,
I may not be a Jack Harlow fan, but I don't think James Pierce Jr. in that man's tax bracket.
gentlemen,
My bad.
first of all, as much as I hate the Atlanta Falcons, I can definitely
waiting
look
on that.
at it for what it is. It's a disappointing situation all the way around. First of all, I actually like James Pierce Jr., even though I heard
Yes.
things about him in the draft.
Mhm.
I feel that he is a talented edge rusher, and I knew coming to this season that he was going to be a problem for not just the New Orleans Saints, but the entire NFL. It's an unfortunate situation. I was happy to hear that the police didn't hit him with the assault on a police officer,
Yeah,
so
he
he
got dropped.
doesn't have to sit down for so long, even though he probably will be suspended for a lengthy time. But the situation with Tua, I believe, it made sense, but it didn't make sense, and I would love to explain that. It only made sense because he was a left-handed quarterback. because when you having a backup or a starter, you don't want to have a right-handed quarterback or you switch to a left-handed quarterback. It just doesn't do well offensively. I do believe they do need another guy on the other side of fake London.
Whoa, no, man.
Yeah, I saw
Nah,
you got the
nah,
jersey. I
nah,
saw
nah.
you got the jersey the other day. I
Nah,
had to
Drake,
do that
Drake's
to you.
physical, bro. He out here throwing people off on, man. He make
He's
plays, bro.
only special because you don't have nobody else to throw the ball
Nah,
to.
bro.
My God.
He's a monster, bro.
But
Drake is a monster.
But the sad part about it is, I think Atlanta, of course, of course, Mike was exactly right about giving Kurt all that money and then bringing in Penix and Penix being injury prone. The sad situation altogether, because if anybody on this panel, if anybody in this world respects Baji, and like I do like to call him Baji, it's me. And I understand how talented that young man is. But I also understand that this is the greatest team sport. And I think you guys, even though I like Brian Robinson, I think you guys dropped the ball by letting 25 go, LG, because he was really that tone setter. Because, God forbid, because I want y'all to be at y'all best when y'all play us. But God forbid that Bijan goes down, then who's gonna actually run the football and give y'all that look that y'all, that dynamic, because he's so dynamic.
That's right.
He is so the engine that runs the car of Atlanta, of the Atlanta Falcons team. And I just think y'all putting him in a position where he's gonna get so many touches that this league is unforgiving. This league has 100% injury rate. And I don't want to see you guys run him into the ground because you decided that 25 wasn't good enough to keep.
Well, this
And
is the
as
thing.
far as
What you said,
Stefanski goes, Stefanski has already shown that I know he won Coach of the Year, whatever, but I think he won Coach of the Year because Cleveland sucked so bad, and they actually did pretty good that year. But when they did have
Baker.
you couldn't help but give
Baker.
it to him. Now you have a place where you're in Atlanta where they actually waste talent, because we all know that number 8 might be one of the most talented tight ends in football, but they don't give him the ball early enough. They don't keep him in the game. They don't give him some kind of rhythm. So, you didn't use Moody, even though I know he dealt with some injuries. It didn't work out with Moody. This is a deep wide receiver draft. Maybe y'all can get somebody on the other side of London. But the situation altogether is dire because you look at the defensive side of Atlanta. You lost Grady. You didn't replace somebody for Grady. Ellis did the right move and decided to come back to New Orleans. So two of your best players on defense from last year are now James won't be there for the first 6 games. I'm for sure.
James won't be there all next season.
Exactly. I'm trying to give y'all the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to seem like that I'm that much of a hater. But losing Ellis, your middle linebacker, your signal caller, your green dot guy, I never believed in Terrell. I thought Terrell was always overrated. But you don't have another guy on the side of him. Your safeties are getting old. You let one of them. I think you let the wrong one go, to be honest with you. And I just don't see it happening for Atlanta. Because the simple fact is the defense is still lemon pepper chicken.
That's where I got to disagree with you. In the safety situation, you got what? Top 3 safety, you know what I'm saying? Jesse Bates is a monster. And then you got Watts out there who has proven himself to possibly be Jesse Bates 2.0. So safety, we good. Linebacker, that's going to be by committee. I do like that they have signed a lot of guys to kind of take that space. And then, of course, you bring it back Devon Diablo, who I think is super underrated. I think that's what made Caden Ellis expendable was Devon Diablo, because he got busy last season. And when we struggled is when he was off the field. Caden Ellis was on the field. He wasn't. And that's when we struggled. And that's when everybody was running all over on us. CMC went crazy. Like, we had 3 weeks in a row where people ran all over on us because Devon Diablo wasn't out there, and we had to put lesser talent, 41, in there, wearing that doggone Guardian cap and can't make a play. Now, I'm not going to say the man's name because I dislike him so much. You know what I'm saying? Troy Anderson. You know who you are. So we saw all that. And I actually like the Brian Robinson move. I can't really blame the organization for that, because if you look at what Tyler signed for, he could have stayed here and got the same money. So I agree he's a tone setter, but obviously the bag wasn't out there like he thought it was. So at the same time, and if you look at the organization now, they weren't married to him. They didn't draft him. I wanted him to stay. He's actually he's probably one of my top 4 favorite players on the team. And I felt like he needed to get the ball more. To Expert's point, Expert always saying, if we don't give Algier the ball, we're going to run, you know what I'm saying, Bijan in the ground. And that's something that I did not like last season, but that's coaching. I will say this when it comes to Kyle Pitts, if he's here, and I hope he's here, I really hope Ian Cunningham don't do nothing stupid and trade this man. Here's the thing. One thing Kevin Stefanski is getting the ball to the tight end. You better ask David Njoku. You better ask homeboy 44 to play for him this year, this rookie.
I like 44.
He gets busy with the tight end. He do know that. I'm not a big Kevin Stefanski fan because I've seen him up close, but he do know how to help the tight end out. So I am looking for a dynamic year from Kyle Pitts. I don't know, Expert. You was the one
team.
Look, I can't believe CL brought up Moody or whatever. He's like the receiver version of Penix. That dude's so sorry. Or whatever. Moody's sorry. Though. He can't catch. I don't see him.
Give us a basketball equal to Moody, man.
He gave you that deep threat, though. See, that's what I'm saying. He gave you that deep threat.
Did he, though?
To where they had
he was in the right position. He can't catch the ball. How a deep threat?
The dude can't catch the ball. I don't see so many times where the ball touched this man's hands and he still dropped or still miss it.
Well, that was last year. I was talking about the year before where he really did something for y'all and gave y'all that dynamic where, because one thing about a guy that takes the top off the defense, that safety has to stay over top of him. And that's why y'all were able to run to that side so effectively because the safety was 15 yards back on the hash. And now, Baji, they're going to cheat up on Baji. And I don't want to see y'all run Baji in the ground. As much as I hate Atlanta, I don't want to see y'all do that.
Let me ask you this. Where did Darnell Mooney come from before he got here?
Louisiana, Tulane, Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears. Why was he available? Because he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over there. He did the same thing over there they did over here. So, of course, he ain't going to stick around. This the NFL. They not going to let you stay around because of what you did 2 years ago. They're going to get you up out of here.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. What have you done?
You're only as good as what
I
you
agree,
did
gentlemen. I'm just talking about that dynamic that he brought to y'all offense. I know where he fails in comparison to other wide receivers, but you guys need somebody to take the pressure off of Drake London.
No doubt.
And that's all I was saying.
But at the same time, if your pockets are tight, you can only afford what you can afford. If you go in the store, you may want that bone-in ribeye. You know what I'm saying? You want that tomahawk.
But you gonna have to get that New York strip. You gonna have to get that New York strip.
I'm trying to tell you, you got to family sport.
Y'all could bring back Roddy White to be on the other side of Drake London.
Did you say Roddy White?
Y'all don't fix that defense.
Oh, cut it out.
Y'all don't fix that defense.
Yo,
if y'all don't fix that defense,
Roddy's been doing it for 10 years, man. That's a friend of mine.
If
dog.
y'all
I
don't
love
fix
Roddy,
that
but he can't play no more football.
It don't even matter. And then y'all not having a first round pick. Oh my God! When they have all these great D linemen that coming out, all these edge rushers that's coming out, and y'all don't have a first round pick
because James Pierce is basically unavailable. Yeah. It wouldn't sting so bad if Son was available because you're looking at a guy that was trending in the right direction. He's trending direction like, yo, this dude might be like Micah Parsons level. This is crazy. Nobody thought he was this good. But also, you got to be good up here. You got to have a mentor, and he didn't show that. You know, he's a hothead and made a bad decision. Hopefully, he gets a chance to redeem himself. Blocker, this is what I see. You kind of put a button on it, man. I look at the Falcons, and it looks like the Atlanta Hawks. The same thing with Trae Young. You weren't bad enough to get that best #1 pick. They got to a shade, but you got in a weak draft.
Right.
Where there was no #1 pick. Because look at Alex Sarr. He hasn't taken off. There's nobody from that draft that's taken off. And it's like the Atlanta Hawks. You kind of stayed in that middle pack where you're not good enough to compete and you're not bad enough to get the draft picks you need. That's what I keep seeing.
Well, and you know what? Like I said, I looked at the offseason additions, and where my biggest concern with the Falcons is, and we talked about this last time we were on the show, man. Your biggest issue defensively is in that middle linebacker spot. Your linebackers have to do both cover and stop the run. And the linebackers you had when Diablo were out have done neither, to be honest with you. But what concerns me the most, and I know CL talked about the safety position, I know y'all acquired Sidney Brown. I'm not sure what that really is going to turn into from the Eagles, but I mean, we suspect him to be good. But if you don't have, I saw no real middle linebacker additions. I know they brought in Ojulari. He's more of an edge guy than middle of the defense type of guy. But I don't see anything you guys have done defensively in the middle of defense to make them better. And maybe the draft is still there, so there's still opportunity. I know there's rumors of Kyle Pitts being traded. Maybe you go out and get a playmaking linebacker. But I know there were linebackers in free agency that could have been, if nothing else, a guiding presence, a mentorship, if you will, to help kind of steady that defense. And I'm just confused about why Matt Ryan didn't go out and.
I think here's what happens when you talk about them. Okay, so I like the move with Dotson. I like that. You bring back Zacchaeus on the outside. That fixes what you lost in Mooney. Because Zacchaeus, that's his job. Is to go get it and to be that kind of quick outlet. You talk about the linebacker position at defense, I do like what they did with Ojulari. And I even like what they did with some of the other guys they brought in I'm looking at right here. But at the same time, I think where the issue is, and I like Ibuka, that's a good move as well.
Yeah.
I think they're looking at the draft, number one. You're probably going to go defense when you start talking about the second round pick, unless something dynamic falls to you. You're also looking at the fact that Billy Bowman is going to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? This guy could play corner and he could play linebacker. He's kind of a hybrid player. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at Braylon Trice. You've never even seen the guy play. He was a top-rated pick. We've never seen the guy on the field. This might be the time you actually see him on the field, and I think that's what they were saying. You got some other guys coming back that were injured that are now going to be healthy, and you had a draft. I think that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. What concerns me is watching David Ayumata walk out, just like we watched Grady walk out, and now you don't have nobody plugging at the middle. That's what concerns me. That's what I'm worried at. Because, that's been our Achilles heel, stopping the run. Expert be on my head every week, man. If we have a bad game, I know that I might not answer the phone call. I know he's going to call me and be like, hey, man, you going to start the run? Hey, man,
I'm going to be at Home Depot tailgate asking at all y'all who going to stop the run. Because I forgot to mention Yamada leaving. He was a somewhat of a stopgap when Grady left. But now it's just, like Shaq said, it's barbecue chicken. Because that D-line right now is just obsolete right now. And with y'all not having a first-round pick to get one of that boy from Miami, David Bailey or Blaine or any one of those special boys that really could be an impact player for you on that defensive line. Because even at the end of the day, Pierce and the other guy that was on the other side of them, there was Walker. They were edge. They're edge rushers.
Right.
They're not really stopping the run themselves. Now they might contain, but they're not really stopping the run. And so I just don't see Atlanta being stout up front at all next year, unless just some type of miracle happens, and I just don't see it.
I feel you, man. And I kind of look at our window. I'm not gonna say it's closed to compete. If I looked at who's close to compete, there's some other teams out there. I don't think we're in that position. A team that need to make a move, and it kind of keeps being like, are they going to do it or are they not going to do it, right? Myles Garrett. At some point, we got to make a decision, yo. Are y'all going to trade the guy or not? And I feel like for the longest, that's my original home, man. For the longest, I've liked Myles. I think that he's done tremendous things, but at some point, you got to want to compete, man. And I'm going to be honest. I think Shedeur is going to be dynamic. Hey, put the wrist up, shout to Shedeur going back to number 2. I'm getting a 2 jersey. I got them both, man. I love Shedeur, and I think he's going to be amazing. But at the same time, I think it's time for him to trade Myles Garrett, get some draft capital, and let that guy go somewhere else and actually have a chance to compete. You know what they did trade, expert? You know what they did say Myles Garrett?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Send him over here to me.
I
know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, send him over here to us. That'll fix a lot of our problems.
Most definitely.
Expert. Yeah. Let's make a trade
Most
Myles
definitely.
Garrett right now.
We'll trade on Penix.
Cleveland is not taking a second-round pick for Myles Garrett.
No, I don't think so.
No,
they are not.
You got to give him 2 first. That's gonna be some 2 first down the line.
Yeah.
Shoot. From the rumors I heard, as far as because last summer he wrote that letter to the city of Cleveland and everything, and the rumor was that Cleveland asked for 3 virgins and 2 first-round picks for him. And they literally sabotaged the idea of him being traded. They wanted the world on the silver platter for him, and obviously nobody would give it. And then they said, well, look, we can't trade you, so here's $40 million. And he went out and set the record. Kudos to him for setting that record, by the way. For years, I've always said that T.J. Watt was better than Myles Garrett, and now he's got the numbers to back up why he might be better than T.J. Watt. But
he is better than T.J. Watt. He's the best defensive end.
I
he's
just don't
younger.
see it. Yeah, I just don't see Myles getting out of Cleveland for one or two reasons. For the first of all, just like Baca said, the asking price is astronomical.
Mhm.
We already seen what happened with the gentleman for the Raiders,
Max
his
Crosby.
name is Crosby, and we all know to a man that the Baltimore Ravens backed out of that deal.
That's
It
right.
wasn't really about him being hurt. They just realized that they had buyer's remorse. They realized that, what, we actually gave up 2 first-round picks for this guy, and not to get on Matt. Matt is a recovering alcoholic. He's getting older in the tooth. When you sit down and you think about it, like, I don't, maybe we kind of jumped the gun on that. And then for them to turn around and give Hendrickson such a great deal, but knowing that they still kept those 2 first-round picks in their pocket,
Yep.
I personally know that the Cleveland Browns are going to want more for Myles Garrett than what the Raiders asked for Matt Crosby. And I just couldn't see any team, because you're actually gutting your future for one player. And I just don't see that happening. And even a team that's, we'll say the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We'll say the Kansas City Chiefs feel like they're one player away on defense. That player could actually be Myles Garrett. But could you see the Chiefs giving up 2 first-rounders, maybe possibly 3, and gutting their future for that? You just don't see it happening. So I think Myles, and even though they restructured that deal a little bit, I just don't see it happening, because at the end of the day, even though they have Shador in Cleveland, the guy that put butts in seats is Myles Garrett.
That's right.
Hey, you know what happened to the Ravens? Remember when Kevin Hart was talking about when the lights came on, he looked at the bill and he said he had a checking and savings. That's exactly what happened to him. The bill was way too
It might
high.
not go through. It might not go through.
Expert. This where I gotta give CL credit. He actually know a lot about giving up way too much compensation for one player. His organization gave up their whole draft for a running back. I remember that.
We did.
It set them back for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, Expert, I don't know, man. Get your money off. I'm gonna let you, get your money off and close it up on that.
Well, I'm with them. I don't think anybody's going to give them, pretty much what they want. But if they're able to find, somebody that's just going to give them what they want, yeah, then they should go. Because right now, I mean, he's a generational talent, but they're wasting his prime right now. They're wasting his prime. They're wasting his peak years. And they're not going anywhere, so they need to, kind of reset a little bit and just see what they can get. If they can get what they want for them, then they should go ahead and trade them and get those picks, those first round picks that they want and all that. I mean, like you said, I saw they restructured this contract, so maybe they're doing that to make it tradable so that they can trade them, so we'll see what happens with that. But if they're able to get, to fleece somebody and take their whole future, then hey, go ahead and go for it.
It's hard to
they're
do
not
that
doing
when
anything
a guy's
with
30
them.
years old. It's hard to do that when a guy's 30 years old.
That's
He
right.
did set, and then he just set the single season record, right? And what's going to happen? You trade the guy, his contract is restructured. Now you got to figure out them numbers and make it work for you. So I don't see that, man. But what I do see is y'all pulling up, coming back, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, And if y'all don't know, please tune into Fanatic Sports and check out Blocker Show. It's dope. Son is always on one on there. And if you're a real Louisiana fan, you got to pull up and see CL and Marvin Favorite in the trenches on ESPN Baton Rouge. They breaking down the Pelicans. They breaking down LSU, Tulane, the Saints. If you want it, they got it. And they better be talking Xavier basketball, because we way better than Dillard. Don't ever talk about no Dillard, bro.
Wow.
Over there in the plantation. It's all about XU. You know what I'm saying? It's all about them Nuggets. You already know where I'm at with it.
Go, Russ.
It's all about us. It's all about XU. There is no dealer. It's only us. So we'll catch y'all on the next one. And y'all pull up and, of course, continue to like, share, subscribe, hit them comments because we're going to shout y'all out on the show. We'll catch y'all next time.
Shador, we need you.